Sharon, let us start.
All right, I'm going to start now.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been entering a lot of people here. Okay. So good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Sharon Hamilton Getz, and I am your host for today. I'm Vice President of Institute of International Social Development, and it's a pleasure to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please place in the chat who you are and where you are from. It's terrific that we can be online together, and I wonder if the virtual platform sometimes gives more of an opportunity for people to participate who might not be able to come to the CSW. And it's important that we continue to discuss not only that women and girls become recipients and beneficiaries of the support that they need, but also participants to be active leaders and what that place and space looks like. Today, we bring to you a very practical discussion with very concrete activities and examples. So let's make the most of being together to discuss gender equality and the road to accomplishing the Sustainable Development Goals. I'd like to acknowledge our partners and colleagues who will share their perspectives, projects, showcasing innovation and how digital tools help us, especially with women and girls. We are honored to bring you a diverse group of esteemed participants who will share in a very practical discussion what are concrete ways as they showcase innovation, how do digital tools help us, and how it all leads to accomplishing the Sustainable Development Goals. Let's make the most of being together to discuss progress toward gender equality. The Institute of International Social Development, being situated in Europe, Asia, and the US, has its headquarters in West Bengal, India. The founding members of the Institute firmly believe that human or moral values are the foundation of any sustainable, holistic development. To create a benchmark in that regard, the Institute organized the first international conference on values for a better world, and soon after its formation, it has had the presence of many eminent personalities support that, and it has continued ongoing. Let's hear from our very own president of the Institute of International Social Development, Mr. Shomeek Chowdhury. I'm going to introduce him now. Shomeek Chowdhury is associated with the United Nations system for over 33 years. He has hand-on experience in empowering the disadvantaged and rural and tribal India that has transformed societies in this region. His presentation of this at the high-level segment meeting at the UN was accepted to be a legal document at the UN, and it's being implemented in LDCs across the world. He traveled to the Summit for Social Development at Copenhagen, Denmark in March 1995 as the youngest UN system in India representative. His presentations on spirituality as an important part of social development drew acclaim from the participants. He co-founded Institute of International Social Development, an international NGO in special consultative status with ECOSOC of the United Nations in 1996. The organization runs projects to help attain the SDGs, and Mr. Chowdhury is a part of the leaders who implement the projects in India and branches in New York and Paris. Shomeek Chowdhury.
Thank you, Sharon, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. May I request everyone who's not speaking to put yourselves on mute? Thank you. Excellencies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to be talking to you today at the side event of the CSW. Thank you for the opportunity. Today's discussion is of vital importance in today's world. Eradicating poverty through entrepreneurship and employment generation, and helping and contributing to the fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. I'm the co-founder of an international NGO, Institute of International Social Development, in special consultative status with ECOSOC of the United Nations. Through the working of this NGO, we realized that development should start from the grassroots level, with a focus on the largely ignored population of the world. With this understanding, we reached out to tribal and rural areas of India to implement our projects. These were so remote that even politicians did not come to seek votes during elections. The first phase was grassroots research or baseline survey. We researched to understand the problem and the needs of the people and also their areas of expertise. We found that poverty was gripping them from all fronts, and yet they have unique capabilities for generations to weave designs on worn-out cloth, to make beautiful blankets and so many items of utility. They also had the talent of making and creating cloth with vegetable dyes and also clay pottery and ornaments. Our plan of action was to get leading design experts from around the world to come and teach these communities the art of creating items of today's use in today's environment, using their unique talent of designing, making pottery, etc. We used our offices to create a marketing program for them to reach out locally, regionally, nationally, and even internationally to publicize about their unique products. In fact, we organized the first handicrafts exhibition of Indian handicrafts at the United Nations Visitors Entrance in New York in 2005 and in the Secretariat building in New York in 2006. The project was so successful that the women who were the main beneficiaries of the project ran businesses of their own and became financially self-reliant. There were about 500 families. The economy of the whole region grew exponentially. Simultaneously, the quality of life also developed very fast and very well, as we also gave training in values, environment, accounting, nutrition, etc., to make their lives more fulfilling. Now they are training other people to use the same formula to become entrepreneurs. The trick, I believe, is to train the disadvantaged people in areas of skill which they already have and make it better and marketable in today's world. We also help them with marketing locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally, besides training and help them evolve their lives into successful ones. In 2006, the high-level segment meeting on least developed countries, LDCs, and removal of poverty at the United Nations, I proposed this plan to the assembled ambassadors, and it was accepted by the august body as part of their legislation. It has been implemented in many LDCs and poorer countries of the world, I believe. Now on to the second part of the discussion, achieving the SDGs. To achieve this SDGs, we need to understand the hurdles in the path of achieving the SDGs. It is not the lack of resources that is the impediment. It is the lack of implementation of the programs that are causing a hurdle to the path of achieving the SDGs.
Check your email. I need the code that they've sent you.
Political will, inefficiency at every level, lack of integrity, and the lack of concern for fellow beings are major impediments to attaining the SDGs. Can we turn it around? How can we do it?
Hang on.
Would you mind putting yourself on mute, please? Just chat in the chat box and communicate. Educating people about the importance of the implementation of the SDGs is a must. The political influencers have to be sensitized to the problems that can arise if it is not implemented. Partnerships with the implementing agencies, NGOs, and local institutions is a way to do this. But I'm always a firm believer that we need to help humans evolve and work to do whatever is for the welfare of the community rather than for one's own exclusive benefit. Human development is also a necessary part of this plan. Becoming more selfless than selfish and looking after the community as one's own family are some of the attributes that needed to be there for the SDGs to be implemented. In my experience and knowledge, development of a spiritual aspect or dimension is necessary for arousing these sentiments and feeling of oneness among people towards one another. At the World Summit for Social Development in Copenhagen in 1995, March, where I had gone as the youngest delegate of the UN system in India, I said in my presentation that social development comes from the individual level. Human beings have to develop themselves from the physical to the mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. Without spirituality, the goodness in humanity cannot evolve. Our education system is going the opposite way, unfortunately. True spirituality can unite people and humanity as one earth, one family. Then SDGs can be implemented without any legislation, but as a necessity for the welfare of all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. And there are so many people that are joining. So if you see my finger, it's because I'm trying to let them in. So I would like to introduce our second speaker today, who's a dear friend and also who I've been following for several years, and it's pretty phenomenal what he's been able to achieve. And so second. So Manav Subodh is the founder of 1M1B, which is standing for 1 million for 1 billion, and a former global ambassador and senior fellow at the University of California, Berkeley, with over 22 years of experience. Manav's passionate to leverage digital technologies to provide equal opportunities in education, skilling, and entrepreneurship to the youth of India, with a vision to empower 10 million youth and 1 million teachers in the next 3 years. Manav is leading the largest initiative for the development of a future-ready technology workforce with support from the Indian government and corporations like IBM, Meta, Adobe, and Microsoft. Prior to starting his entrepreneurial journey, Manav worked for organizations like Intel, EY, Hughes, and QAI. Manav?
Thank you, Sharon, and hello, everyone. So nice to meet all of you, and delighted to be talking to you from Bangalore, which is on the other side of the planet. Bangalore is in the southern part of India. For those of you, I'm sure you would have heard about Bangalore. It's called the Silicon Valley of India, and that's where I am staying right now. And thank you so much, Sharon, for inviting me to share my thoughts. And your work is equally inspiring. So thank you so much for recognizing the work 1M1B is doing. And so glad to have your support. As I make a short remark, I would like to use a presentation. Sharon, is it okay if I can show some slides?
Absolutely. Show me.
Yeah, so I would need the access. If you can give me the access to share. Okay, got it. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Thank you. So, so I'm going to be making a remark on what is my organization doing for creating opportunities for employment and entrepreneurship for especially the indigenous, tribal, and the community at the grassroots, and how this work is coming up in India. And probably there are some lessons to be learned, and I would like to share that, also share some of our failures and some of the challenges that we are having. But just introducing myself and the organization, I represent an organization, a non-profit organization, 1 million for 1 billion, an organization I founded 8 years back after a corporate career. And the idea of the organization is to activate 1 million young people who will create impact for 1 billion world, thereby creating a sustainable planet. Today, we are backed by some very good partners. Mainly, if you see, they are technology partners. And I, coming from a technology background, especially because I used to work in Intel, one of the key areas for employment and opportunities is technology. And the future workforce is going to be technology-led and technology-aided. So we thought that we'll try to get this together and have an agenda to democratize technology in India. If you go back in the 1990s, when the internet was coming and the PC revolution and the digital revolution was happening, few people got the opportunity, and I was one of them. I used to be in school that time, and we were taught computers and internet, and we knew that this is going to create jobs in the future. And the only thing I knew was I need to get an engineering degree if I need a good job, and and that's what all of us in that generation did. And some of you from India would resonate to that the only thing we were told was become an engineer. And for some of us who were from not so affluent background, it was very important for us to have a job, and the only way we could have a thriving job is get a technology degree. And that started a revolution in India. And also it started a widening gap in India. The widening gap was the people like us who can afford technology education, got technology education and work for companies like Intel. But there was a big portion of India that was left behind. And the endeavor that my organization is trying to do is how can we, in this new era of technology, and I'll talk about what is happening as from a trend perspective, how we can democratize it and do something that we had not done well in the past, which is start from grounds up and also provide equal access and include every nook and corner of India in this technology revolution. And that's what we are doing. From a impact perspective, I'm going to be talking about my work and as an example, but from an impact perspective, we are actually in about 200 schools of India, and I'll talk about that. We have trained about 15,000 students, 10,000 teachers, because you cannot do this without the teachers, because you're talking about a future-ready workforce or a future workforce, and that workforce is still in high schools. And what can we do really to make that happen? And of course, we have an affiliation with the United Nations Department of Global Communication, and we are also accredited by ECOSOC. And so we annually host an event at the United Nations where we get some of the top students from India to present their work on social impact using technology. So what we are trying to do is just not teach technology for technology's sake, but technology for humanity's sake, technology for social good's sake. So what are you going to do with technology? It's okay to learn coding, but what are you going to do with coding? Can you help your technology help a farmer have better prices? Can your technology democratize education? So what we are looking at is not just teaching technology, but applying technology for good so that it can uplift everybody in the community. So that's what we are doing. And what we call ourselves is we're really accelerating India's future-ready technology workforce by offering various programs on digital creativity, digital technologies like artificial intelligence, AR, VR, and entrepreneurship. And today I'm going to be briefly talking about AR, VR, augmented reality and virtual reality, and why we are doing this. It might sound very fancy that, oh, we are trying to do augmented reality, virtual reality, very futuristic. It's like the Web 3.0 is coming and the new internet is coming, and everybody's talking about the metaverse. And so why are we talking about AR, VR? And we're democratizing AR, VR, and even AI education, and even offering that in tribal schools. And these are schools which don't even have connectivity right now. But we don't want them to play catch up after 10 or 20 years when you see another revolution in jobs happening. We want them to be ready and leapfrog today and be ready for the jobs of the future and play equally with their urban counterparts. And that's the attempt that we are making to democratize technology education really at the grassroots and not just make them play catch up. So if I take, just give a very top level, high level view of what is happening in India. It's a big workforce, like 468 million people in workforce right now. 92% are informal jobs, and we are seen as 1 in 5 Indians are skilled. And half of the workforce is classified as working poor, like less than $3 a day. So though we talk about workforce, we talk about meaningful employment, but here is a real analysis that 92% of our workforce is informal. So if you have to graduate them into meaningful jobs or jobs of the future, what do we need to do now so that the generation that is going to come up in the next 5 to 10 years, they can at least do this? While there's government is doing a lot of programs to make sure the existing workforce is skilled and meaningfully skilled to take on jobs, but what we are really looking at is in the next 5 years, the workforce that is going to join in the future, can we make them take up technology jobs which are meaningful? Now, again, some data, 50% of the girls drop out from school before they hit their 10th grade, so before they're 16 years. So how do we retain girls in schools? There is National Science Foundation saying that 80% of the jobs of the future will require STEM degrees. In India, we see STEM education being talked about, but we are unable to excite the students because they have to take care of their livelihood. So we have made an attempt to really go to the schools, really go to the grassroots and say, even if the schools and students are dropping out, they should take on meaningful jobs and technology jobs that are coming up. And augmented reality, virtual reality is something that we are really focused on, and I'm going to be talking about it very briefly. Like that's where the growth is. 23 million jobs are going to be created in the next few years. So this is what we are really looking at, that in the next 7 years that we are coming, and this is a generation that we are preparing, which are going to be out of school or out in the universities by this time, that what kind of jobs are coming, and that's what we are educating them, because this is a big boom that is happening in India, and we want these students to be ready to catch on to this boom. So there's a big trend that is happening globally and in India. And this is all, the COVID situation has only accelerated this, that people want to work from wherever they want. And there is a whole freelancers movement, and there's a discussion that half of the world will be working as gig workforce. And so the people who are in the villages who don't want to migrate to big cities, we are saying, can you be part of the virtual workforce? Can you take on jobs with a good internet and a PC connection right from your villages? And if you can do that, how to do that? And the how is what I'm going to be briefly talking about. So the metaverse is, everybody is talking about it, that it's going to come in. But immersive technology is something that we are focusing on. We have taken an endeavor to, in the next few years, to train about 10 million students and 1 million educators on augmented reality, virtual reality, and digital citizenship. And that's the big charter that my organization is leading in India. And we call this probably one of the largest workforce mobilization initiative involving the grassroots, involving the tribal schools in India. And these are some pictures, if you look at it, you look at the students sitting on the floor because they don't have benches, and they're learning augmented reality and virtual reality there. And that's one of our trainers doing that. And this kind of education is being offered now in the tribal schools. and we are making the tribal schools have this opportunity to be as part of the workforce. And before that, since all this would require a lot of digital technologies, we are also conducting digital safety session. Digital pledges are being taken in various parts of India. We started a massive campaign in India called the Digital Nagrik, which means a digital citizen. What are the values? What are the do's and don'ts that you need to when you are behaving, when you're online? So we are really starting this from the foundation, how to be safe on the internet. First, learn how to be safe, and let's look at how do you leverage the new technologies like Web 3.0 that is coming, or the internet immersive technology. And we are preparing these students to really go and take their jobs in the future. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. That was wonderful. Once again, I continue to be inspired. All right, so now we're going to change countries because we've been focusing on India. And while I'd like to mention that we have with us today the Secretary General of Institute of International Social Development, Rajashree Chowdhury. So just wanted to acknowledge that she's with us today. Hello, Rajashree. Now, I'd like to introduce Luz Maria Utrera, and she's also a wonderful friend of mine, and we've worked together on a number of different programs related to women. And so I'm going to share about her. She is the president and the founder of Luz Maria Foundation, an organization dedicated to helping women who experience domestic violence and women in need in the US, Argentina, and around the world. She's also the president and founder of Fundación Luz Maria in her hometown of Santiago del Estero, Argentina. Luz Maria has a license as an attorney of law in Argentina. Her experiences include support and advocacy for survivors of domestic violence. And Luz Maria was recently chosen from 5,000 applicants from around the world to serve as a UN Women Global Champion of Change. Throughout the years, the foundation has received help from donors, sponsors, and government grants, and Fundación Luz Maria received consultative status with the United Nations, ECOSOC. The foundation also received the Department of Public Information, DPI, and is a partner of the SDG Action Campaign, My World Survey. Luz.
Hola, ¿cómo están todos? I'm just here getting back from LA right now, but I'm happy to be here, and thank you, Sharon, for inviting me to be part of this event as a part of the CSW 67 at the UN. So SDG, hi everyone first, hi colleagues, hi Sharon, everyone. SDG 8 aims at promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. When you hear the phrase decent work, what does it mean for you? Does this mean a job that pays so little that make you not want to have a job at all? Does this mean no work-life balance? Does this mean living paycheck to paycheck in constant fear of losing your house and being late on pay your bills? I believe we all feel that the answer is no. A decent job is about respect, adequate pay, safe condition, and dignity. Poverty wages don't create sustainable future. They don't allow any upward mobility. They don't break the cycle of poverty. They don't create chances for better futures. However, they are still prevalent. We need to fully appreciate the power of sustainable employment. A job is not just a job. Sustainable employment opportunities can change individual destinies, families, and entire communities. Good, well-paying jobs are an investment to our shared future. It is a measurable, economical, beneficial, win-win scenario for all parties involved. There are many studies that prove that if the worker is satisfied, feels safe, and compensated fairly, productivity goes up, the quality of service goes up, and talent retention levels improve. When business invests in their worker, they create a better and more skilled workforce and build communities with more disposable income who can buy more goods and services. Companies can expect their employees to be invested, dedicated, and inspired if they are not recognized and they are not receiving fair benefit and wages. There are numerous ways to improve employment conditions that they don't require significant financial investment. They include stress reduction, professional development opportunities, wellness events, employee motivation, open door policy, etc. COVID-19 pandemic left a deep scar on every country. It claims a lot of lives, destroyed business and livelihood. According to the International Labour Organization, in 2020, 90% of the total working hours were lost, which is the equivalent of hours worked by 255 million full-time workers. Without proper effective policy action, there is a great risk that income inequality will increase. It can put vulnerable groups in a great danger and have a negative impact in the global economy landscape. Something that needs to be recognized across the industry globally is that employees are the driving force of any business. When they are safe and their basic needs are met, all work will be done better and the company will prosper. Employees are human beings. They are not robots, and their health and well-being are as important as company profit and business growth. Thank you so much. And I want to tell everyone also that in Argentina, we did everything that we could. O sea, we work with all non-profit in Argentina at the local level, at the national level. When I arrived here in 2015, was not more doors to open or more things to do there. So that is the reason that I decided to step it up here and incorporate 501c3 and keep working with the UN at the global level. And we got ECOSOC and we got DPI. But it was after many years of work in Argentina, as I say, we in the conference that we do there for women, they give a diploma that they have a point, and that help women to have a better job, you know, to find a better job. So we do, and we work with the food bank, we work with all organizations at the local level, at the national level, and then in 2015, we arrive at the global level, and then it's like they open a door to the world, but after many years. So in Argentina, we do everything that we could, and was not more door to open at that moment. They just passed domestic violence law when I was there in 2009 at the national level, in 2011 at the local level in my city. So it's like everything was new at that moment also. So, and I'm happy to be here, and thank you everyone. And, you know, Sharon have my information, and also anyone can contact me. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you very
Sharon.
much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
You. All right, so now we have the honor of another wonderful speaker, Krishna Abhishek Ghosh. And Professor Krishna Abhishek Ghosh is a scholar, speaker, and a spiritual leader within the Vaishnava community. He holds a PhD in South Asian languages and civilizations from the University of Chicago, and also in theology and the study of religion from Oxford University. And currently he is the director of the Institute for Vaishnava Studies, a degree granting research consortium, and a senior editor of the Journal of Vaishnava Studies. the oldest and longest running academic journal on Hindu studies in the West. And he has served as a tenure-line professor of world religions at Grand Valley State University, Michigan, and continues to lecture as guest faculty for various educational institutions and spiritual communities around the world. I met him in October in Alachua, Florida, at a event for the Ukraine. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's really a pleasure to have you with us.
Sharon, it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. And I also wanted to thank Shomik for inviting me to speak. I have an exciting project going on right now that I'd like to share with our friends here. We're meeting for the first time, many of us in this room. And so if you need to contact me after this event is over, you can write to me at abi@ibs.edu. Is there a way I could share my screen, Sharon?
Yes.
Let's see. Screen. Are you able to see my screen? Hello?
Not
It
as
hasn't
yet.
come up.
It's
Yeah,
coming
we're
up, I
still-
believe.
Coming up.
Can you retry it?
Yeah, let me retry. It keeps showing your screen share is loading for some reason.
For some reason, it hasn't come up yet.
Maybe the file is too big.
There it is. Yes.
There it is.
There it is.
Works.
I can see it.
So thank you, everybody. I wanted to present a new project that's been incubating here in Gainesville, Florida, that we're actually launching today because it happens to be a very auspicious day in the Vaishnava calendar, which is the birthday of Sri Chaitanya. And in my presentation today, I'm going to speak about 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals that we have as a part of our strategic plan over the next few years, right? But before we begin, I have a question. Are you able to see this slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
know that Vaishnavism is the 3rd largest monotheistic tradition in the world, and every 10th person on earth today is Vaishnava one way or another? Now, if you think about it, research after research has demonstrated that faith-based action actually creates impactful transformation in various communities that are underserved and that deserve the help of people who are better off than them. And as an academic, I often wondered, we academics do research, we spend time at the library, we train students, and that's pretty much the end of our contribution to society. I kept wondering if there are any direct ways in which we scholars could actually come and do something more pragmatic and more immediate to the communities that we study, in order to uplift people who are not recipients of the kind of facilities that we get as scholars, right? Since that was the core logic behind creating Yoga Seminary. And the 5 key sustainable development goals that we aim to provide are number 4 of the SDGs, quality education. There are communities of Vaishnavas in various parts of India, as well as other parts of the world, for example, in Ukraine, which is a huge number of Vaishnavas whose education journey has been disrupted for various reasons. And we are in the process of creating online forums to be able to reach out to our community members to provide quality education. And it doesn't stop there. The orientation of our seminary is to keep helping our students continue in their careers where they have a solid spiritual life coupled with practical skills. And Shomik mentioned in his talk about how, social reform comes from an individual level. And the spiritual aspect of education is practically absent in the world today, right? And so that's the area where we have been, at a very small scale, and going forward, hopefully in a larger scale, make an impact. Our curriculum is designed towards the principle of simple living, high thinking. And at this point, I want to invoke Mahatma Gandhi, who is considered the founder of one of the founding fathers of the modern Indian state, who used to call himself a Vaishnava. Every evening, he used to sing Vaishnava Janato Tene Kahiye Je Pida Parai Janire with his followers, which literally means a Vaishnava is one who can empathize with the suffering of others. And as we develop our curriculum, we are actually looking at how we can educate people about sustainability and about responsible consumption where their carbon footprint is minimal and they leave the earth in a better shape than they found it. One of the core areas that we have been working on so far, and as we are scaling up through the Yoga Seminary, is interfaith dialogue. We have one of our most important programs happening, online as we speak. And in the past, I've had the good fortune of being invited to various forums, such as the Parliament of the Congress of World Religions held in Kazakhstan, and other events that keep happening in India. Number 17, however, is the most important part of what I wanted to present today. And this is where my connection with Sharon and Shomik kind of began to develop and fructify in the form of this program today, is to have partnerships with other organizations that are also focused on these goals. We are very fortunate to have the space that we need to do this at Santa Fe College in Gainesville. We are right next to the University of Florida, which has a very large student body. And we have a vibrant Vaishnava community. In fact, Alachua County, which is a very small, practically unknown county in Florida, has the largest number of Vaishnava populations in North America. And this is the reason we're here, right? So I wanted to pause here and open the floor up for any questions, comments, ideas that our friends have, that friends might have as we develop this project, and any ideas for partnerships or any kind of new directions that we can go towards, right, as we walk this journey together. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are going to have a question and answer after we complete the presentations, but I want to thank you so much for that wonderful relationship between the Vaishnavism and the SDGs. It's really quite wonderful, and I look forward to learning more. So now I'm going to introduce myself. Sharon Hamilton Getz is a spiritual social peace activist and is president and founder of World Harmony Council and Arts Forum. She's an interfaith minister and she travels internationally as an ambassador of goodwill to participate and facilitate various conferences and forums, emphasizing the importance of mutual respect and better understanding. And through her intercultural ministry, she creates spiritual cooperatives among cultures while promoting women's empowerment. As previous president of UNA USA in Laguna Beach, California, on education for peace, and has shared music and the arts to shine and propagate the message of harmony throughout the world. As chair emeritus of the NGO Committee on Spirituality, Values, and Global Concerns, New York, she represents the ECOSOC NGO Institute of International Social Development at the United Nations. Also, she is owner and director of Rita Nota Consulting and seminars focusing on bringing values and spiritual principles to the workplace, and co-chairs a global transformative coaching program to entrepreneurs and CEOs. And here is my presentation. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them.
Allah.
I think
All our dreams.
Excuse me, could you please mute your, put mute, thank you. Growing up in a family of performing artists, I always was interested in the global family, and at an early age, I was engaged at the United Nations in peace, social, and spiritual activism. My main goal is to create meaningful experience in the lives of others through connecting, inspiring, and uplifting individuals and businesses through the challenges we all face, and building relationships that are beneficial to allow for peace, prosperity, and the well-being of all. I believe the rights of women and girls is the unfinished business of the 21st century. And nothing really liberates our greatness like the desire to help and the desire to serve. I think the best role models for women and girls are people who are fruitfully and confidently themselves and who bring light into the world. Digital businesses, women entrepreneurs often face a range of barriers, including unequal access to financing, legal discrimination, differences in skills, less access to networks, and more care responsibilities. They are also poorly represented in technology startups, and to address these constraints, the Digital Cabo Verde project aims to support women, to support entrepreneurs with business and entrepreneurial mindset training, access to business networks, peer support, and mentoring. Beyond comprehensive support for women-led businesses, tackling investor bias is critical, and research suggests that the persistent gender gap in financing cannot easily be explained by differences in education, experience, sector, intellectual property, or geography. Digital skills, building digital skills starts early with hands-on exposure to technology to build girls' interest and competence, and typically complementing technical skills, training with soft skills, engaging role models, and creating structured linkages to the labor market through internships, apprenticeships, and job placement programs have positive outcomes. The Kosovo Digital Economy Project, which trains rural women in programming and web design online, it has become very popular with digital skills training and can create pathways to economic prosperity. Women with disabilities, older women, and illiterate adults may require tailored curricula and flexible programs with active outreach to develop their basic digital skills. And another key area for engagement, cutting across these pillars, is the need to address restrictive gender norms that prevent women from fully participating in the digital economy. Solutions to tackle these vary with context, but addressing gender stereotypes and engaging men and boys are essential steps in shifting beliefs and behaviors, ensuring that women and girls have equal access to and use of digital technologies, mobile phones, computers, and the internet is central to their economic and social empowerment and inclusive economic recovery. As we accelerate our efforts on the digital inclusion of women and girls, we call on our partners to join us in this ambitious agenda. These are 3 SDGs which are important because of their synergies. These are the SDG 3, health, SDG 4, education, SDG 5, which is gender equality. During writing a research paper, I found that the importance of the 3 SDGs for girls and women, if all these SDGs will be taken into account by countries in low and middle income countries, as well as industrialized countries, there will be no gaps between men and women anymore when it comes to digitalization. And this is important for organizations and governments who provide funding to reach the Agenda 2030 goals. Gender inequalities in some education systems means that girls and young women often have lower levels of reading and writing skills compared to boys. Audio or visuals can support and retain female users. So I would say that female users are much less likely to be online than boys, and they have more limited access to the internet. And they often have lower end devices, and they tend to be more price sensitive about data costs. And rural girls often have limited network connectivity. So consider older technology like IVR, SMS, or USSD platforms that do not require users to purchase internet data. And if your digital product does not require data, for example, a prediction engine or period tracker apps, to make it available offline so users can access features when no internet connection is available. If anyone is interested in the Girls and Mobile report to understand more about how girls access and use digital technology, or GSMA, Health Gender Toolkit for tips on product service designs, or USA Gender and ICT Survey Toolkit for research tips on women and girls' digital realities. Those are all very important. And do you have additional tips for designing for the female user journey? Have you come across any key resources? And are you interested in being part of a community working on digital products with and for women and girls? So closing the digital gender gap is key to creating more equal societies. And to achieve this, governments should start by collecting and analyzing gender disaggregated data. And this would help policymakers understand how different people are using the internet and develop technology policies accordingly. Currently, over 24 countries in Africa and Asia collect data in this way. Training and educating school-age children, but also adult women in digital literacy by prioritizing STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects would equip girls with the aptitudes and competence they need to navigate the digital space and help shrink gendered stereotypes about technology capabilities. I'm looking forward to working to bring the internal tool sets, including spiritual principles, consciousness, awareness, values support with self-realization and practical steps in furthering the success of the work ahead. Thank you very much. So now I'd just like to go over some of the points today. I'm very impressed by all of the speakers.
Sharon?
Yes?
Do you think we can request Rajashri to say a couple of words?
Yes, of course. Please. Rajashri, would you please join us and say a few words?
Well, hi to all of you. I must congratulate all the panelists for your amazing, wonderful presentations. You took me off my feet and you have left me with the hope that we are ushering in the best that is possible in the future. And with all of you crusading against immorality, against chaos and conflicts, I'm sure we are going to have a better world in the future. So thank you all for inviting me for this meeting today. This is all that I needed to say.
Thank you so much. And we wish you all the best with your work in India. We really, and happy Guru Purnima. So now, just going over some of the notes, like I'm very happy about how we can use the talents of the innate qualities and talents that our people are born with, especially in the rural communities, and that were discussed, the families and the artistic and the values that are implemented in helping the families that Shomik mentioned, and also creating the welfare that goes along with it, and developing the goodness and the unity through working over the years and focusing on this for so many years and being successful. It's really very, very inspiring. And also with the 1 billion, it's extremely impressive how the education of technology and the impact of realizing the importance of devoting one's life to assisting so many young people, and not just the young people who are showcasing their talents in their businesses that they have created thanks to Manav's support and the education that he's given and provided for them, but also that it links everyone, the teachers, the students, and the government, the businesses, and the villages. So it's going from the ground, and it's connecting everyone. So I feel it's really an honor every year to attend these conferences and listen to all these students. I walk out of there flying high and inspired. And I also thank Luz, because I know how hard she has worked and traveled throughout the world, visiting so many countries and helping women who are in dire need of her support, and also traveling back and forth between South America and North America and creating this wonderful bridge, using her legal skills and also her personal experiences as a woman. And I thank you so much for sharing that. It was really, really wonderful. And Professor Abhishek, I just thank you so much for teaching us this correlation between the Vaishnavism and the sustainable goals. I don't think I'll ever forget it. And I certainly would like to learn more as going forward in the interfaith realm, and also engaging, empowering, and educating with faith-based, because really serving in this manner is the best way to really, really sincerely help people. Thank you so much for that. And for myself, I am grateful that I was allowed to be here today and to serve you. And hopefully I fulfilled my mission as the host. And now I'd like to turn this over to questions and answers. If anyone has any questions or answers, I know Professor Abhishek had mentioned about it, but I'm sure everyone, if anyone would like to ask questions, please feel free. All right, so if we have no questions, then shall we
And thank you,
conclude?
Sharon, you also for all your work, and thank you for, to be here and to keep working on all of this. That is very important.
Well,
Thank you so much.
thank you, Luz. It's just a continuation of the work, and there's more to come. There's more to come. So
Yes.
I guess let me just ask, Shamik, shall I give the closing? And thank you.
Well, actually, I got a question on the chat, says that in addition to goals 4 and 17, what are the other goals for sustainable development? It says that you're working on 5 goals. In addition to goal 4 and 17, what are the other goals? So that I think, it's a long list. So you can probably Google Sustainable Development Goals of
17
the United
goals.
Nations.
Yes, there are 17 and all
Yeah.
are interconnected,
Yeah,
everyone
so-
impact to other one.
Yeah,
Everyone,
so
yes.
you can Google and find out. It's a long list of goals. So I'm sure that'll help you.
Okay. So shall we close now?
Sure.
I'd like to give closing. Okay, we wish to thank all of our UN partners and the organizers, and wishing much success during the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women from the 6th to the 17th of March. And thank you to our members and our sponsors, and special thanks to all our speakers today. Thank you to all who joined with us, and looking forward to the momentum of achievements inspiring the accomplishments for supporting a fundamental shift in thinking from business and governments around the world, and for building a more just and prosperous future for all. Thank you and good day.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.